Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to share with you how I took these images, which I consider to be similar to a studio quality, and they're probably in a genre of photography that I would call advertising style. And I took these in my garage studio space, and I'll take you through the lighting setup. I'll do a walkthrough with you, and I'll also share with you the inspiration that I took for these images. I'll show you the photographer and his website, and I'll also share with you the editing process that I use to edit these, which is fairly simple, and you can download the editing pack from my website in the link below. So stay tuned and let's get stuck into the video. I was inspired by this photographer from England called Perot, and his work, as you can see here, is quite varied. He's got some simple one light shots and he's got some multi-light shots, and the strength of his website or his catalog is that he can show a potential client that he can do many different styles, and that's something that's lacking on my website. I think my style is all quite similar across the board, so I'm trying to break out of that. And I took inspiration from this shot of Ray Winston, which I think is great with the bubbles. So he's quite a hard character. He plays gangsters in movies, and I think to contrast that with some bubbles was a great idea. You might consider that style of prop shooting quite sort of out of date, but I think there's still a place for it in commercial photography and even amateur photography. So have a look at his website when you get time. And how I found that website was through a video that was on Harry and Fred's channel here. So just Google Fred and Harry Borden on YouTube there and you'll find it. And they've done some great interviews, particularly this one with Perot. And he's very, very similar in personality to myself. He doesn't pull any punches and he just says it how he feels. So that's a really, really good interview. Have a look when you get time. Alright guys, I'll take you through my humble garage setup here. Now this is a slightly bigger than a single car garage. It's got a roller door at the front and it's got two fluorescent lights, so it works quite well as a studio. Okay. Now the particular lighting setup that I had for this shoot was a 3-light setup. So we've got the key light up here, which is just a Profoto white umbrella, shallow umbrella. This is one of my favorite modifiers. It's not super soft as far as the light quality, but it's just very practical. You can pull off a lot of, excuse me, you can pull off a lot of different photos and lighting styles with this one. Now in there I've got a Godox AD200 Pro, okay, and that is triggered by the Godox trigger, which was here on the camera. So that's triggering the first Godox via wireless transmitter, and the second one is over here. I find these AD200 Pros so good. I have to tell you, they are just my favorite flash, even more favorite than my Profoto. I rarely use the Profoto, to be honest. I just find these ones great. So this second one is on the rim light or the shoulder light, which is on a small rig strip box. So that's a, what is it, a 120? That's a really good strip box. I often use that overhead on a boom to give a overhead shoulder edge light, but in this particular shot it worked well just on the back of the ear and on the cheek as a rim light. And then we've got the background there, which is just on a C-stand. And the third light, which I found quite important, is this fill light or global illumination light. So this is just an old strobe that I have sitting up here permanently, and it's a Genbei 600V, Genbei HD 600V, and that's on optical slave. So one tip I'll give you guys, if just for those who are beginning flash, you might not know this, but your optical slave function will have S1 and S2, which means does it fire, like for example S1 would be just a basic flash, which means as soon as it sees the key light, that one will trigger and flash. But if you're using TTL, you will know that the TTL sends a little burst of test light to the subject first, and then the main flash. And S2 setting on your strobes means it will fire on the second flash, the actual strobe flash, not the test flash. But some of them don't have the S2 setting. So this one does not have the S2 setting, which means you have to default back to manual flash, which is what I did. So you're not getting that pre-flash, that pre-test flash, which happens in TTL. So it's not a problem. You just have to dial in your lights ahead of time. And I did that with using my 4-year-old son as a test dummy. And I had the lights dialed in, and as soon as the subject sat down, I just pressed the shutter and I was good to go. So this one is a 600 watt second strobe, and that was on 1/8 power, just bouncing up against the white roof, and that gives a nice amount of fill or global illumination. This one up here, I believe, was on a 1/4 power. Okay, AD200 Pro was on a 1/4 power, and I think this one on the back here was on an 1/8 of a power, eighth of its power. So I used a couple of different backgrounds on the day. I used a pink, which I then changed the hue of to become yellow, and I also used a blue. You can see all my papers and all my canvases back there. Another couple of tips I'll give you guys when working from home garage is have a mirror, have a full-length mirror, and I've got another one here. Have this one here. Have somewhere for the clients to hang their clothes. That makes a big difference. The family who came here were carrying all of their children's shirts and t-shirts. They had about 8 or 10 different coat hangers, which we can pop just right up on there. Another thing that proves really helpful is to have a fold-up table like this, and I had the table sitting out the front here, right here, with all the snacks for the kids, the watermelon and some cookies and waters and things like that, as well as the props that I needed for the shoot. So I had a bubble gun, blows bubbles, and cakes and other things that I was using as props. So having that table here just for the people to dump their things and put their keys and all that kind of stuff really made a difference. And that's basically all there is to this home garage setup. I configure this differently for different shoots on different days, but it works really well. I was also tethered. I tether into down here along the floor. I run the cable under that mat so I don't trip on it, and I have my laptop sitting up here so the clients can see directly into the computer. These are my batteries. I always have the batteries fully charged and a backup one ready to go, so I can just swap out the batteries as I'm running if I happen to need to. Okay, this is the big one that goes in the Genbay flash up there. So it's amazing what you can pull off in a home garage, guys. Let's go back to the editing video. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom, and you'll find me jumping back and forth from Lightroom to Photoshop. That's just what I do. The first thing I'm going to do is crop the image. I'm going to make it 4:5, and watching out for a couple of things. We don't want to have anything on the edge of the frame, so you don't want to come in and crop on the edge of a button or anything like that. I think we're going to put it right there. I like to have the subject in the bottom 2/3 when I crop 4:5. I like to have a bit of negative space up the top. That can freak a few people out, but it's just what I like to do. I've kind of copied that from other photographers that I like. We're going to jump over into Photoshop, and here we are, and I've got my portrait workflow here. I'm not going to do a plug for that in this video, but it is available in the description below, and it's what I use to edit all my photos. I won't go through the instructions as I know what I'm doing, but there is a full tutorial on that in my playlist. So the first thing we do is go onto textures, press S for stamp, and look for any textures that may need correcting. I'm sampling with the option key and then stamping. That's a color, that one. That was a texture and a color. Is there any other texture? Yeah, there's a texture there that needed correcting. So I'm just sampling near with the Option key, holding the Option click and then click again, looking for textures that need to be taken out. If it doesn't happen, it means it's a color. Now go across to the colors layer, go on to L for lasso. I usually start with this area first and then go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and you want to look at the image itself and adjust the Gaussian blur. See, if I go too hard, it looks fake. If I'm at 26 radius, it looks really fake. So dial that right back, keep dialing it back until you get something that you're happy with. I think for the depth of field in this photo, 5.5 will be good. It is all about the depth of field. If the subject is quite shallow, you won't need much radius at all. Okay. It's kind of a really soft frequency separation adjustment that I'm doing. And I'll toggle the layer on and off in a minute so you can see. But this step is just averaging out the colors, which makes the subject look like they've got younger skin. I know the subject here is 4 years old, but it will still make a nicer image in the end. With the forearms, you can see that they're not on the same focal plane as the face, so they may not need as much Gaussian blur. Just be conscious of that. So if we zoom out, and we'll just toggle that. That was before. If you look around the mouth, you can see some color imperfections, and then I've sort of smoothed that out. I'll just take a brush, go back to the colors layer, take a brush, press B for brush, make sure the brush is soft, yep, and sample around where you want to use it, and just do a couple of passes. Just going to Command Z that one. Let's put it around 10%, and Option click, and then just do a pass. Option click, do a pass. Option click. Anywhere where you see imperfections, like here, right? Option click there, just do a pass there. That's it, that's gone. All right, just under the nose. Again, I'm not going to make this perfect like I did for the customer, but you get the idea. All right, that's how you can get rid of blemishes with the magic of frequency separation. Step 2, set the color balance. So what this means is go into here and grab the eyedropper, pick a neutral area, which is usually the eyes, the whites of the eyes, and that sets the color balance. Okay, if you're using a gray backdrop, you could just click on the gray backdrop, but you want to click the middle eyedropper and go for a neutral area. And the next step we're going to do is add a curves layer. And what we do is just double click on that, click auto, and you can see that it's added a bit more contrast. If we toggle that off, on, off, on, it's added a bit more contrast. It's probably a bit too much, so I'm going to dial that back to 60%, and that's the nice little bit of contrast that I want for that kind of image. And dodge and burn, this is a step where if there was some significant hair here, like on a girl with flowing hair, like the boy's sister that I photographed, you look for the highlights in the hair and you just bring them up a bit. So make sure it's on the dodge, go to highlights, bring it up, say 15%, and then just brush in those little highlights. Again, the boy's got quite short hair. You can do a brush here and a brush on the forehead, just where the light is hitting and where the light naturally has highlights anyway. You don't want to go crazy because it'll start to look fake and very much like an AI kind of shot. So, whoops, that didn't look good, did it? Now, just going back to, I won't add a gradient here, okay? That's not necessary in this kind of shot. I don't want a gradient. But just going back to the colors layer here, I can see there's a stain on the shirt pocket. So what you can do with the brush, press B for brush, just sample here, option click, and then just with a low flow, 10%, just brush up and down until that color is gone. Much better. Not perfect. I'm not going to make it perfect for the sake of keeping the video short, but that's much better than it was before. So before, after, before, after. Okay. Frequency separation. Get into it, guys. I know it's a bit of a pain, but it really takes your images from sort of an amateur level to something more of a commercial level. Okay. Now, let's press Command S, and that'll save, and that'll ripple back into Lightroom. And there's our image. Yep, just press I for information. You can see that's our image there. Now, what I like to do here, if I want to change the background, I like to do it in Lightroom. I'm sure it's quite easy in Photoshop, but Lightroom has got this fantastic little option here. Just click background and it just selects perfectly. It's just absolutely fantastic. And you can adjust the hue to be whatever you want. So I actually adjusted this to be yellow, but I thought about doing like purple for the Hulk. You know, I thought about like purple background and then green hands, so he's like the Hulk. And that was pretty cool, but I put it to my wife, who's my proof checker, and she said, no, go with yellow. It looks cuter. So the beauty of shooting on a colored paper is you can just come in and adjust the hue in Lightroom to be anything that you want. Adjust the saturation. And what do we want? We want to adjust the whites, I think. Yep, there we are. So there we are. Look, that's as good as I want to make it for the purpose of the video. So you can see there how easy it is to correct all the skin problems, adjust the background. I would go back, if I was delivering this, I'd go back and adjust this green hue here, just adjust that, use the colors layer in Photoshop and do that. So I hope that helps you guys. It's a pretty straightforward thing, but there it's fun to do these shoots, and I hope it will help you guys with your portfolios. Thanks very much.